And
Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to something else. Something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matara, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
And welcome to episode number 239 of Something Else. Feast your hair holes on this week's episode as we take a look at Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from October 20th, 1984. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the D'Lo Brown to my William Regal. It's Trae! Trae, how the hell you doing today?
Well, apparently we're the two greatest European champions of all time, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I know, right? I like that you got the reference with like zero lead-in, you know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. D'Lo Brown is he was my original boy before I even knew what that meant. I love me some D'Lo Brown.
We were talking about this on the TNA show last week. How did WWE drop the ball and not do a D'Lo Brown bobblehead?
Right.
TNA, who is always going to be TNA, they did a D'Lo Brown bobblehead.
I wish I had one of those.
Yep. It looked quite nifty.
Oh, nice.
We could have kept that company in business had we bought two bobbleheads.
Yeah, we could have kept TNA in business. Now they've been dead for 20 years.
Dixie could still be owning the company if we would have just bought those bobbleheads.
We're all going to be dead. The heat death of the universe, and somehow TNA will still be running fucking TV tapings.
Yes, they will. In front of about 200 people, give or take.
Even if they're cockroaches, they'll be there.
Yes, somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see? And this kind of broke about 2 hours ago. Not really broke, but this came out about 2 hours ago. Ortiz is still under contract to AEW, and he has about a year left of his contract.
Well, I didn't know it had broke. I assumed he was still under contract because I hadn't heard. I hadn't heard otherwise. Look, what I heard at the time about the disconnect between Santana and Ortiz was that one of them wanted to do more and try to be a top talent, and the other one was happy with getting paid, and they have both achieved what they wanted.
Mike Santana is very happy, to the best of my knowledge, anyway. I mean, I haven't asked him, but he appears to be happy. And Ortiz, if that was his goal to get paid, he's getting paid.
Hey, if I could get paid to do nothing, I would be so fucking happy.
I mean, I don't pay you to do this, and well, I think you're happy.
No, that's not getting paid to do something. That's the opposite.
Yes. Oh Lord. So it's our second episode with our new drop board.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And I made some additions to the drop board this week.
All right.
And we're going to be playing them during this show.
That's exciting.
Yes, trying to think if there's anything I haven't played on this show to pop you here before we go on. Okay, let's go to my favorite Ken Patera quote of all time. And think about the ground that covers when it comes to favorite Ken Patera quotes.
I was sitting in prison, Weasel. I had a lot of time to think of the Bobby Heenan types of this world. Types like yourself.
As RD once pointed out, Ken Patera has a point there. Bobby Heenan is an excellent example of the Bobby Heenan types of this world.
You know, when you're right. And I don't recommend going to prison, but if you're going to be there, you should use your time to think deep thoughts.
0 out of 10. Don't recommend. Well, let's dive right in here. Let's go to the intro Mid-South here. October 20th, 1984. My mother is 38 weeks pregnant right now. Let's go to the intro with Jim Ross and General Skandar Akbar. Because, it's just that type of show today and last week.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting hour of Mid-South Wrestling. I'm Jim Ross, and I'll be your host for the next 60 minutes of action. Joining me just a little bit later will be the president of Mid-South, Cowboy Bill Watts. But the man here with me now is certainly no stranger to you wrestling fans. And before I do introduce General Skandar Akbar, I want to remind everyone that today in this hour, you're going to see the Rock and Roll Express. You're going to see a TV title match between the champion Adrian Street and gentleman Chris Adams. Master G will be here, and matchmaker Grizzly Smith has rematched that tremendous match between Johnny Mantell and Nature Boy Buddy Landell, and we'll have that match just a little bit later in this hour. As I mentioned just a few moments ago, this man is certainly no stranger to Mid-South, General Skandar Akbar. I know that you're here for a reason, and I know that you want to make this statement.
Although I've been away from the Mid-South area for some time, I have been in contact with certain individuals. One in particular is Ted DiBiase, King Rat, Head Cheese, if I might, the man I still refer to as the North American champion. In a moment, we shall see why, incidentally, Ted will be here next week, and he's extremely upset at the lack of recognition because he is one of the top 10 wrestlers in the world today. He's extremely upset with all the happenings in Mid-South. As I've said before, I have been in contact with Teddy. Now we're going to see some film, one of the rare victories when Ted DiBiase defeated the so-called legendary Junkyard Dog. Let's see it now.
Okay. I know you weren't here when General Skandar Akbar was on the show every week as the, I'd say one of the lead managers, as the one and only manager on the promotion. But the first thing I noted here was General Skandar Akbar pronounced Ted DiBiase's name correctly.
Well, of course, he's the one person who gives DiBiase the respect that he deserves.
Okay, well, I guess he didn't give him respect for years because he was always calling him Ted DiBiase.
Well, he's learned to respect him now.
Yeah, that's why, in case you're wondering why I've always called him Ted DiBiase, it's in honor of General Skandar Akbar.
We should honor General Akbar.
I did laugh, and I know this is not what he meant by this, but he pitches it to video of one of Ted DiBiase's rare victories. Poor guy's getting jobbed out when he's not even on the show anymore.
I caught that too. That was
but yeah, we're gonna get Exotic Adrian Street versus Chris Adams. The Rock and Roll Express are here this week. Master G is here, and oh boy, wait till we get to that. And then, like I wrote, we're gonna have Johnny Mantell versus Buddy Landell. Who cares? We'll get to that match later. That was a fucking banger, I thought. But the clip they pitched it to was from Ted DiBiase's heel turn back in June of '82. And for those who weren't around, what was going on was DiBiase was in a feud with Bob Roop over the North American title, and he kept being screwed every time they wrestled. So DiBiase came up with a stipulation: in exchange for getting one final match for the North American title, he would put his Mid-South career on the line. However, before that happened, Bob Roop lost the North American title to the Junkyard Dog on a house show. And that was also when Dog was the Louisiana champion, and he forfeited the Louisiana title because he couldn't hold two titles at the same time. And so Dog then wrestled DiBiase, and they still kept the same stipulation where if DiBiase lost, he would have to leave Mid-South Wrestling, which incredibly unfair But still, they go to the match, and actually Bob Roop is on commentary for this one, and it's where DiBiase turns heel by loading his glove and knocking Dog the fuck out for the win.
Yes, I can confirm that this is what happened because I saw it here.
And I know Trae appreciates me adding the context to this because he was not here back in June of '82.
It's true. I wasn't even born yet.
No, you weren't. Neither was I, and I was still here talking about it. What the hell, dude?
Well, you're very dedicated.
I can bend space and time, and Trae can't. That's what we've learned from this.
So why have I been the one trying to build the time machine?
I just figured you wanted to feel wanted.
No, I wanted the time machine to work.
Well, I'm sorry. I've lost my plans for the time machine. I actually left the M off of it and accidentally built a time machine. But
you're as useful as a screen door in a submarine. You know that?
Okay, sure. So let's now go back to Ack, who's got a few more things to say.
Well, Bob Roop perhaps said it best. His closing statement's very appropriate, I might say.
Rubbish and garbage. Is it a worse crime than what the Junkyard Dog did? He ran off with legions of followers here in the Mid-South, not making his main event commitment simply because Hacksaw Butch Reed literally chased you out. You couldn't stand the pressure, Dog. And anybody that pulls for the Dog, shame on you. And you talk about pressure. You better listen and listen good, Hacksaw Duggan, because it's just beginning. Yes, I've made a tentative agreement with the King Rat himself. So you might as well say the Rat Pack is back. Ted DiBiase and anybody else that wants to throw their hat in the ring. Because from now on, it's going to be mayhem. And I know that you're proud of your American heritage, Duggan, but I also know that you Americans always break.
Well, General Skandar Akbar made those comments, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Suddenly, I'm no longer mad at the Junkyard Dog. I feel sympathetic. He was literally ran out of Mid-South. Literally.
So this was just for to give somebody a chance to bash Dog again, right? That was why they did this.
Yes, more or less. Because to be honest, I could be wrong, but I don't think Ack is sticking around. I think he's a 2-week wonder. But I could be wrong. I guess we'll see in a few weeks. But
whatever will we do without Admiral Akbar in our lives?
Watch World Class? I don't know.
God damn it! I hate watching World Class.
Well, you are forced to against your will.
I am. Arya it's told me she's going to kill my family if I stop watching Mid-South or if I stop watching World Class.
I'm just not even going to go there. Suddenly thoughts came to my head, and I'm like, nope, not the one time I'm not going to vocalize something on this show. Let's go back to the desk where Bill Watts has finally shown up for work. And they're going to pitch it to a Jim Cornette promo. Let's go to that now.
To say Jim Cornette is upset with Mid-South is an understatement. And I have to remind everybody that Cornette and the Midnight Express, when they seemingly have their back to the walls, when they're the most vicious and the most dangerous. And Cornette has made a straightforward threat. Let's listen to that now.
I've asked for this time from the directors of Mid-South Wrestling to make a statement. And that statement is that the Rock and Roll Express are still the Mid-South Tag Team Champions. And every day, I've had to call my mother at home and tell her that once again the Midnight Express have not regained the belts as of yet. And I think part of this is due to myself, to my loss of sight, to my loss of the fact that when we first came to Mid-South Wrestling, we made examples of people, and we have lost our formula for success. But we're going back to basics. When we first came to Mid-South Wrestling, we broke one of the Bruise Brothers' leg to make an example out of him. We were the first to introduce the tar and feather suit to make an example out of Magnum TA, and we were also the first to bring a leather strap in the ring and whip a man to show him what a coward he was. The Rock and Roll Express need an example made out of them. And that is why that I'm serving notice here today. I am going to end the career of one of the Rock and Roll Express in the near future. But I won't say who, and I won't say when.
Well, it's Bill.
Now, in the interest of fairness, it's been 40-something years. Jim Cornette did not technically say when he would end the careers of the Rock and Roll Express. He just gave the vague answer soon. So, you know, he could end the careers of the Rock and Roll Express like next year and, technically, still be correct.
Maybe, he inducted the Rock and Roll Express into the WWE Hall of Fame, and that in a way is like a capstone of your career. So maybe that satisfies his honor.
Oh my God, I did not think of that. Now, Corny talked about not being able to see, so I assume Kendo the Samurai blew the palm olive in his face.
He said that he was going to end the career of either The Rock or Roll Express, and why only one? Porque no los dos, Jim Cornette?
I mean, as we've seen, Robert Gibson is, nothing by himself. That might be a little too mean. He's not nothing, but if I'm going to take one and push them as a star, I'm going to take Ricky Morton.
I can't tell you that would be the wrong choice at all. Ricky is the worker and the talker, and Robert is the other guy.
Robert is always there. Wherever Robert is, he's always there.
When you said that he was nothing on his own, I was about to protest that no, he was the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion, and then I remembered that's my 1992 Pro Wrestling Sim game.
I was gonna say, what alternate reality had Robert Gibson as the Smoky Mountain Champion?
That alternate reality.
Yes, you then told us what the alternate reality was. Well, real reality sees us go to the ring for the Rock and Roll Express versus Jack Victory and the pride of Monte County, Texas, Jake the Snake Roberts. Now, did you actually notice that they introduced him as being from Monte County this week?
I did catch that this week, yes.
Now, the funny thing is, Boyd called him the pride of Monte, or not the pride of, but from Montague County, pronouncing the G that drunk Mark Lawrence conveniently always forgets to pronounce.
Does he? Monte. Huh.
I always hear him say Monte, and turns out there's a G in there.
I always thought I heard him say Montague, because I think the original, the English, the original English not translation, pronunciation is Montague, or I guess, is that French? Probably French, right? It's too phonetic to be French.
I just like that on this show, we not only tell you really weirdly obscure facts, we also tell you random ass shit about Monte County, Texas. Oh, yeah. Lordy. Look who's 40. So Ricky locks on a side headlock that was so strong that Jake gave him a back suplex, and it did not break the side headlock. Showing you how strong Jake is. However, I don't know how strong Morton is. However, to show you how strong Jake Roberts is, he broke it with an Irish whip. So Jake Roberts' back suplex is less than Ricky Morton's side headlock, which is less than Jake Roberts' Irish whip.
Okay.
They got the heat on Jack Victory, and then we got a hot tag and a second heat segment on Robert Gibson. That's somehow more confusing than Jack Victory. Jake hoisted Morton over the top rope. Morton came back in. Both heels got a double drop kick, and Morton pinned Victory.
You know who'd be the all-time greatest jobber tag team? Jack Victory and Mike Winter.
So not even the Alabama junior heavyweight champion, Mike Jackson?
Well, he doesn't have a punny name.
That's true. That is true. I honestly was not even I was zoning out. I didn't even catch on to, you know, what the hell you were saying there. Um, all right. So, any thoughts on this match?
I I don't. It was kind of interesting in that, like Jake, could contend on even terms with the Rock and Roll Express, more or less, and then Jack was there for the other team to get the victory over.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we then go to our next match, which is Big Ernie Ladd versus appropriately sized bum Frank Lang. Wait, did I just say Ernie Ladd was wrestling a bum?
What do you think I am? A bum seeker?
Yes, because all he ever wrestles are bums.
Oh, watching Ernie Ladd squash bums is very entertaining.
Now we don't know much about Frank Lang except his last name rhymes with Dang, and if he wins, then the Lang will have done it. No popping.
I was trying to think of a DDP pun because it also rhymes with bang.
Yes, but I was trying to do a Mike Adamle reference, not a DDP reference.
I'm not gonna entertain your Mike Adamle references. I'm hoping you'll stop eventually.
How many Mike Adamle references do I have?
More than you should.
I'm not trying to think of my other Mike Adamle reference. Like
you had one on here like last week or the week before, and you've had them before. You reference Mike Adamle more than you're admitting.
I do not remember all these Mike Adamle references. I would think the only other reference I'd have would be Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy is never going to be on any of these shows. Well, I guess I'll have to watch my Mike Adamle references in the future. By the way, the Lang did not win. He suffered the same fate as the Cutler, and Ladd won with a leg drop.
They did the leg drop correctly this time, at least.
Yes. He's stolen Hulk Hogan's finish.
Well, Hulk Hogan was
however,
very successful with it.
Yes. Hold everything, though, because Magnum TA is here and he's upset. Now, I get this made it more real, but all I could think while Magnum TA and Ernie Ladd are in the ring yelling at each other, maybe someone should have been standing there holding a mic in between them. Because they were yelling, but they weren't yelling loud enough to be picked up on the camera.
Why would anybody do such a thing?
Yes. Damn director Oral Link, he should have known better.
More like anal
This
link.
This is not a great week to be Oral Link. He in fact was Anal Link. Anal Linkage. So TA, being the hothead that he is, began punching Ernie Ladd, a man who, again, just had a competitive match against the bum. It really wasn't competitive. So Buddy Landell ran in to help his friend. The Job Squad ran in to make it 3-on-2 baby faces, but Ladd and Landell took care of them. Eventually, they got tired of beating up Magnum TA, which just so happened to be at the same time that Terry Taylor, who is a little bitch stooge and a degens, and Brickhouse Brown ran in for the save.
Note that Terry Taylor did not come out until he had somebody with him.
Was Brickhouse Brown wasn't here last week, right? I don't remember him on last week's show. Not. So it's like, why was he here? Why was he dressed to wrestle? I guess his match got cut for time, I guess. He was in the 4th standby match.
Yeah.
All right. So they're heating back up this feud between TA and Ernie Ladd. Which, if that means we're going to get more Ernie Ladd promos on TV, I approve.
Yes.
All right, so we then go to our next match, which is the Mid-South Tag Team Champion. Wow. It is not the Mid-South Tag Team Champions. It is the Mid-South Television Champion, Adrian Street, versus gentleman Chris Adams, who is apparently a babyface in this territory. Boyd angrily informs the camera that this match has a 15-minute time limit. I'd like to point out that no match on this show has ever gone to a time limit draw of more than about 4 minutes, so I am not worried about this match going to the time limit draw. Now, JR during this match announced that Street is a 4-time European champion, which puts him in the conversation for greatest European champion, along with D'Lo Brown and William Regal.
They should have a round robin to determine the greatest European champion.
I pick Adrian Street in that tournament. So Chris Adams slaps Adrian Street, and so Bill not only misgenders Adrian, but he calls him a sissy. I think Bill needs to be canceled.
I wrote that he was using all of his self-control to not call Street a homophobic slur, and I guess he really did as close as he possibly could here.
The funny thing is, when Adams used a super kick, Watts said that Adrian Street was on Dream Street, and I was in the middle of writing that he wrote that Adrian was on Queer Street, and then he didn't say it.
Oh.
Whatever. So Adams used a what a maneuver, and that's when Terry Taylor, who is a bitch, a stooge, a degens, and now a sexual predator, came to the ring and forced himself on Miss Linda. Street was so upset about this that he hoisted Adams over the top rope for the disqualification, and then was so upset about all this, he began beating up Miss Linda.
Yeah, this became uncomfortable very quickly.
For multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Jesus H. Christ. Oh, Lord. And if I'm Chris Adams at this point, I'd be fucking pissed off because Chris Adams was doing fairly well here. He may have been about to become the Mid-South Television Champion, the champion of television in Louisiana and Mississippi. And
Oklahoma, and parts of Texas and Arkansas.
Yeah. And then Terry Taylor had to come out and interrupt and, piss off Adrian Street to the point that Adrian got himself intentionally disqualified. And so Adams lost the opportunity to become the champion of television.
Maybe Terry Taylor watches World Class and knows that Chris Adams has been being a dick lately.
He hasn't changed at all. We'll get to that later, but Chris Adams has not changed. Now, despite the problematic finish, to quote the new writer for the NWA, this was a good wrestling match, bro.
The
Did
new
you
writer
see
for the
that?
NWA?
Did you see that?
No.
Apparently, he is now going to be a writer of the NWA with Billy Corgan.
Oh my God! I gotta tell you, fucking Billy Pumpkins. He's done the impossible. He's done a thing that no promoter has ever been able to do. He has done it. He made me not give a fuck about the. He made me not give a fuck about the NWA title anymore. Me.
I think Jim Cornette is spinning in his grave. And before I get a very Bruno Sammartino-like legal letter from Stephen P. New, Jim Cornette is still alive. Do you remember that when Mark Madden said Bruno Sammartino was rolling in his grave when Dave Arquette won the WCW World Title, and so Bruno had sent a legal letter to WCW?
I vaguely.
That whole period you can just kind of block out of your head,
I try to block out anything to do with Mark Madden.
Yeah, you know what? I think most people do. So from here, we're going to go to JR and Bill Watts at the commentary desk, and then that will lead into the introduction of our next bout. Let's go to JR and Bill now.
Well, Jim, the place is a pandemonium here at the Irishman Neil Boys Club. Apparently what happened is Adrian Street got upset with Miss Linda because he thought that she was enjoying the kiss by Terry Taylor. And frankly, I thought at first she was fighting it, but later she was enjoying it. But what that display, the reason we got out of it, it just wasn't fit, we don't think, for here on Mid-South. But Jim, what was the outcome of that bout?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Adams won the match by disqualification. As you all know, unless so stipulated, the championship can't change on a disqualification. So even though Adrian Street lost the match, he is still the television champion. And as Bill mentioned, we had to get out of that situation, but we've got another great tag team confrontation coming up. Now let's go to the ring.
Tag team action, one fall with a 10-minute time limit. 260 pounds from Bad Street, Hercules Hernandez. From Oklahoma University, 276 pounds, Dr. Death, Steve Williams. Across the ring, in the blue corner, combined weight of 446 pounds from Atlanta and San Antonio, respectively, Jim Horton and Shawn Michaels. One fall, 10-minute time limit.
You wanted me last week? You want to challenge me? Head up, one-on-one, baby. Well, where's your helmet? Where's that helmet? One-on-one right now, tough guy. Where's the helmet? Yeah, I forgot the helmet. I forgot the helmet. I forgot the helmet. You forgot the helmet. You forgot the helmet. I don't Okay. I've got a contract for wrestling 2 tonight. You come next week, right here on the 50-yard line in the ring. You and me, one-on-one. And I'm going to take that helmet, put it up there. Let me tell you something, William. Your helmet may be black. Your helmet may be black. Your school colors may be red, but I think you're yellow. 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 Next week, baby. I'm going to turn that party into a jackass.
Them's fighting words. You don't call Dr. Steve William yellow.
He forgot his helmet.
Yes. Much like how Boyd forgot the S at the end of Dr. Death's name.
Didn't Doc challenge Duggan to a match this week? Last week?
Yes, he did.
Okay, I thought so. Thought I remembered that. Thank you for confirming that.
I would like to know, how they could possibly cover that up in editing not even from editing, from a live perspective. We're supposed to believe that wrestling is real, but we are taping 2 weeks of television in front of this crowd, and you're telling this crowd that 20 minutes ago saw Dr. Death say he's going to wrestle Jim Duggan for his helmet this week, to tell Jim Duggan this week that he forgot his helmet. We're not even going to question this.
No, why not? Why not? Why ask why?
So there is more to unpack because for those listening, you heard correctly. The opponents in this match were Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Hercules. Oh, you meant the other two guys. The other two guys were noted coffee shop Tim Horton and his partner Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
It'd be more surprising if we hadn't mentioned it like a dozen times before this week. But yes, that Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Jobber. And his first match here on Mid-South Television is against the Dr. Death helmet holder, Steve Williams, and Hercules Hernandez. Now, I did feel bad for Shawn, and suddenly I could understand why Shawn might hold a grudge against certain wrestlers One of them being Jim Duggan, because he's here getting ready for his first match. And he's just, trying to relax, trying to get ready, thinking about what he can do to do his best out there in the ring. And Jim Duggan comes out and pisses off his opponent. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Lord.
I was just thinking about that idiot on Twitter the other day who was like, was so offended that somebody compared Mercedes Moné and Shawn Michaels because, and I quote, Shawn Michaels wasn't a selfish douchebag. I almost pissed myself laughing.
Has that person watched wrestling before 2018?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, Lord. Doc won with the Oklahoma Stampede. I'd like to sit here and tell you that this was a Shawn Michaels match classic. Because you say, oh, Shawn Michaels wrestled Dr. Death Steve Williams. There's part of you that goes, man, that's a bit of a dream match. I bet that'd be a hell of a fucking match. Well, they wrestled and Doc won in about 2 minutes. So
he didn't beat Shawn Michaels though. He beat Tim Horton.
He did beat James Timothy Horton. Trae, did you ever watch Kim Possible?
No, I did not.
Okay. So Kim's brothers, the Tweebs, were named Jim and Tim. And then in the Kim Possible movie, So the Drama, it turned out that her dad's name, who we always just called, Mr. Dr. Possible, because both her parents were doctors, so we had to distinguish them by calling them Mr. and Mrs. Dr. Possible. But we found out during the movie that his name was James Timothy Possible.
It would have been funnier if their names were Jim and Tim, and then later it reveals that their full names were Jimothy and Thames, but spelled like the river that runs through London.
So you're gonna say Thames. But no, we never did find out what her mom's name was though. Because they used Mim on the grandmother. So I don't know what they could have done there. Maybe Prim. Although this came out before the Hunger Games, so Prim wasn't as noteworthy of a name, I guess.
Well, that's okay. The Hunger Games takes place in the future, so
both from a book standpoint / movie standpoint and a release standpoint.
Are you a Hunger Games fan? I don't know if we've ever talked about this.
I enjoyed the Hunger Games. I read the books. I saw the movies.
Have you read
the author? The author didn't come out to be a transphobic asshole, so that's one series that's still safe.
Hey, that's always good. Have you read the prequels?
I haven't. I didn't see the movies either. I don't say. I guess you could say I gave up, but I mean, I just tapped out when the movies ended.
No, but I would highly recommend both, especially if you like the main series, because they're both really, really tremendous. I reread them a year or two ago because I hadn't read the first prequel, so I wanted to go back to the series, and so I went through those, and then I went through the Snow prequel, and then the other one came out, this year, that's Haymitch's Hunger Games, and it was great too.
I will say Katniss was a bit of a glory hound. I mean, what if Prim wanted to be in the Hunger Games?
She didn't.
Oh, I mean, she says that, but I mean, you never know. She could have won, and Katniss stole her thunder.
No.
You don't think
I'm not letting you get away with this one.
Prim and Rue couldn't have formed an alliance.
They would have been buried together.
They would have been the first two picked off.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, okay, I'm gonna say this knowing that it's the Hunger Games and knowing that she had to die anyway. But the first time I read the first Hunger Games book, I was talking to my roommate at the time, and I'm like, oh yeah, I just got to the part where Katniss and Rue form an alliance. And my roommate's like, oh, you mean the little girl who dies? I'm like, she dies? You know, and then she like died like 5 pages later. Still, it was, you know, that moment that it got spoiled for me. Even though, I mean, come on, I kind of think I like if I really would have thinking about it, I would have known she fucking died. But still,
Yeah,
boy, I'd say how did we get down this rabbit hole? But I brought up Kim Possible, so
yep, you did this
oh
one.
Lord, yep, it's my fault. There's, as always, somebody reads the preview of the episodes and we're like, what the fuck are we smoking? Not the hopium, ladies and gentlemen. We are not smoking the hopium.
No, we have no hope at all.
Especially with our next match.
Uh-oh.
It is Master G versus Bad Bob Owens. Holy fuck. Now, in the interest of fairness, most of this match wasn't awful. Like it wasn't good, but it wasn't awful. And I actually was, drifting off thinking about how. Do you remember when Chris Masters was getting? I don't want to say a main event push. Like he was in some main events, but not really a main event push per se. But do you remember how Jonathan Coachman and Jerry Lawler would whisper during his entrances?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of here. And by the way, it does make sense I was thinking of it because his fucking finisher, Master G's finisher, is called the Master Lock. So it's, for once, there's a method to my madness.
You know what?
Anywho.
You know what? There was a missed opportunity here. It should have been the Master Glock.
I know they do it later, but they're missing an opportunity to spell his name Gee. That's in the song that plays during his entrance.
Yeah.
So they fucked up something fierce. Owens bent over to let G flip over the top of him. And now we have always ripped on Bad Bob Owens for living up to his name. But this was G's fault, in my not so humble opinion. I think Bob Owens was basing just fine, but G mistimed and fucked up his flip over Owens. And basically they fell on top of each other. G then just won with the Master Lock.
I think what happened was I missed the spot that you were talking about because I was typing about how I kind of like Master G.
Okay, great. Some of us go back and rewind to watch the spot again. Some of us just type about how much they like Master G.
Well, I didn't know I missed a spot that you were going to fucking make a big deal about on the show.
I'm sorry. From now on, I'll tell you in advance what I'm going to rant and rave about. And so this way you can go back and rewatch it so you can prepare. That'll make the show better, I'm sure.
No, it wouldn't. Me preparing would ruin the gimmick.
Oh, same. Like if you told me what you were gonna rant about, like that would be the end. I almost told you. I was actually in the middle of typing that I was gonna make a Mike Adamle reference, and I'm like, why would I tell him that?
See, you wouldn't have gotten my authentic reaction to your Mike Adamle references.
I would have in Facebook Messenger, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go to our final match, which was both an announced match and what was really just an expiration of time match. Buddy Landel versus Johnny Mantell. Now, they did have a match a few weeks ago, and it was what it was. But this was a fucking match, I thought. I really liked this match here between Johnny Mantell and Buddy Landel. I'm like, where the fuck has this Johnny Mantell been all our lives? I suddenly wanted to go hunt down some 84 All Japan tapes just to see if this is the Johnny Mantell that is on All Japan at this point.
Was he in All Japan
I think you said he was in All Japan.
Well, he was. I don't know when. It's funny because I have All Japan 84, the whole run, and I started it and I haven't. I got to like February.
Yes, I've learned to stop asking how your classic wrestling viewing is going.
Okay, yeah, he was there in July.
Yeah, I thought we talked about it. Maybe we didn't.
We probably did.
Anyway, what the fuck did Ken Mantell do to his brother to give us the boring Johnny Mantell we've been watching for over a year? This. Maybe you didn't think this match was as good as I did. I fucking loved this match.
This was good. I like the other one too. This was very good. I don't think the problem in World Class is like that much of the wrestlers. I think it's that they don't have enough wrestlers, so the matches are too fucking long.
Imagine if we were watching the 2-hour Fort Worth shows.
I would like to see one episode just to get a taste of it.
We finally get to see the television championship. That's for one.
The episode that I wish I could see was I think I brought this up before, but Cornette talked about like the other Fort Worth TV. Since they had time to kill, they would just let him see how long he could talk, and he made it up to like 7 minutes one time.
Yes, I remember him saying that.
That's the episode I want to see. Yeah.
So I just want to say that Ken Mantell booking his brother to be a boring schmuck is the worst thing Grizzly Smith has ever done this week.
I agree.
Ken Mantell wins the Grizzly Smith award this week.
Oh.
On a week where we're going to have a 13-minute segment with a pedophile, the Grizzly Smith award goes to Ken Mantell.
Actually, that was a great segment because I just skipped it.
Yes. I don't know how much of it you skipped. You told me what happened at the end. I didn't even watch that part.
I was skipping forward to see where to stop, obviously, and then I saw. Yep. We'll get to it.
Yeah. So this match went to the 4-minute time limit draw, and what? I don't think Anal Linkage had no fucking chance in this one because Watts is just telling Anal, don't cut away, keep going as long as you can. Like, so we didn't even really have an ending to the show. Watts, I forget what even Watts said, but he said something, and then suddenly we're looking at the end credits of the show.
Do you think that Steve over at the Marks, formerly known as Angry, would let us get away with calling the episode Anal Linkage?
Probably not. I
gotta say, Buddy, like powdering and then yelling, "Have you had enough yet?" Buddy is so. Have we inducted Budrow into the something else Hall of Something Else because we need to?
I don't think so. So
for excellence and being a shithead heel.
I like that the Hall of Something Else has is almost twice as many people as the Hall of This Sucks, which makes sense.
We're very positive on this here podcast.
In theory, what was it for again?
Outstanding achievements of being a shithead heel.
Outstanding achievements and shithead heel. Oh Lord. Yes, we poor Baron Gattoni as the inaugural inductee into the Hall of Something Else. We don't have like a fun, for him.
It's Baron Gattoni. It's self-explanatory if you've ever seen Baron Gattoni.
Oh God! And that is not just that's not our cute name for Baron Corbin either. No. This is much better than Baron Corbin. This is Baron Gattoni.
Go watch the Friday Night Spot show, which I don't know. We only did like 4 of them.
7 actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It was when Scott D'Amore put up the whatchamacallit, the wrestling from the 1950s.
We should do more of those. I think we stopped because you had a boyfriend and were doing stuff, and then we didn't start again.
Yep, I suddenly got a life. See how well that worked out for me.
And
we were going to. Oh my God, I don't remember if this is the last one, but we were going to do like all the Saturday nights leading up to Starrcade '85. And I think it might have been the last one we did. All right. Let's get into the 6-minute world class review. Let's go to the intro with Bill Mercer.
Welcome to World Class Championship Wrestling. From the most famous wrestling arena in the world, the Sportatorium, here in downtown Dallas, Texas. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Mercer. Great to have you with us. What a great main event. It features this great human being, Kerry Von Erich. And this handsome warrior is going to meet this human being, maybe, the missing link. Yes, that's our main event. And we've got other great stars like Weingeroff and Strongbow in a tag team match against Chris Adams and Jake the Snake Roberts. And we'll be back with our first event, Kiniski and Reed, next on World Class Championship Wrestling.
I want to believe Bill Mercer was paid like $5,000 for every time he said the word great during his intro this week.
Is he implying that Max is not human?
I've never felt worse for Max when he's like, oh, and this handsome human being. I'm like, oh, it's a weird thing to say about Max. Kerry Von Erich is going to wrestle this human being, or is he? I'm like,
I think that,
man, what?
And look, calling Kerry Von Erich, what did he say? A wonderful human being or an excellent human being or whatever. That's just blatant favoritism from the. Maybe it's David Manning Von Erich and Bill Mercer Von Erich.
See, that's not even the most blatant that's the most blatant bias towards the Von Erichs we'll see on this program today. We'll get to that. I know them showing favoritism towards the Von Erichs on this show. I'm as shocked as you are. But yes, handsome Max will be in the main event because even though Mercer backed off on it, Max is a handsome man.
Very.
Yes. So then we get our opener, which is Kiniski versus Reed. No, not that Reed and not that Kiniski. This is Kelly versus the very capable Mike.
Kelly. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
He has cut all his hair off, so now he looks a lot more like his dad.
Indeed, and he hails from the provinces of Canada. So he's from every province. No wonder why Canadians don't like losing in Canada. So we've been advised, Bill Mercer says, we've been advised that waiting. A minute later, we were no longer being advised. We were being apprised of Chris Adams' heel turn. Yes, we were. And then Bill Mercer said that Kelly Kiniski did not need the help of Rick Hazard. Like, that would have just been weird if he did need the help of the referee. But then Kiniski won with the backbreaker, break me a back.
Break me a back, break me a back. Break me a back with that backbreaker. It could have been Roderick Strong's theme music, right? Wouldn't that be great?
I'm sure it was. I didn't watch a lot of Ring of Honor. Like, I'm gonna eventually get to the Roderick Strong era during my ROH rewatch, or not even rewatch, because again I didn't watch it. During my ROH watching, I'm sure I'll get to Roderick Strong soon enough. I'm sure that's his theme song.
Oh yeah, surely.
Yeah. All right, so Kiniski's from Canada. Sadly, he did not cheat to win, which pissed me off. But because I got this drop ready, I'm going to play it anyway.
Sound like a proud Canadian athlete? Why, hell, he's a Canadian hero. He shouldn't fight like that. He's in his home country.
He's also not in his home country while wrestling this match. So nothing about that drop made any sense at all, but I wanted to play it, so here we are.
Well, pretty par of the course for this. Not a lot we do make sense.
I don't want to alarm you, but Jim Ross was really good at his job.
Let me write this down.
Jim Ross, pretty good announcer. I know like Survivor Series 97 is not going to be remembered for the commentary, but it's like I thought Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler did a fantastic job, especially in those last two matches, the Bret Shawn and the Austin Owen match. And that's where that comes from, is when Owen was breaking the rules and trying to get disqualified against Austin. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love me some Jim Ross.
As you should.
Yes. I can both love Jim Ross and love AEW. Like, those are not mutually exclusive.
Why would anybody think those are mutually exclusive?
I don't know, because so many people get on JR because he's not the JR of old, and he slips up every now and then. And well, yeah. Anywho, drunk Mark Lawrence has drunkenly found himself in the heel locker room. Let's go to DML now. Unless you want to talk about, do you want to talk about the Zoomhoff thing?
The PYTs turned babyface by stomping the pedophile and his boombox.
I'm sure I skipped it, but I'm sure the Sportatorium cheered, especially the children who were waiting to run up to kiss Kerry and Kevin Von Erich. They cheered when they saw Buck Zoomhoff get beaten and destroyed.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it because I was cheering so loud, but I assumed that was the case, yes.
Yes. All right, now let's go to drunk Mark Lawrence, who is so drunk that he's wandered into the locker room. Let's go to DML now.
Move the cameras into the locker room to get some comments not only about the action coming up, but also about the World Six-Man title team, which you are now a part of.
You're such a trip, man. Every time something big starts to come down, Mark, you come in here so you can get the little pieces and the little inside story. So maybe you can go back and tell somebody. Maybe you'd like to go back and tell them Von Erichs, huh? You good friends with them? Are you?
No comment.
No comment. What's your question, then? What do you want from me?
I want comments about your teammates for the World Six-Man title.
It's simple, isn't it? Gino Hernandez, everybody knew that. But the surprise, the surprise is Chris Adams. What an unlikely partner for a great tag team, huh? Chris Adams, super kick. Gino, the mouth. And myself with the DDT. It's kind of strange, isn't it? It's going to be very successful. I'll show you how successful tonight when we step into the ring. And as far as a Von Erich goes, it doesn't matter about the six-man. That's the most important thing. But when you get right down to it, Von Erichs, I've dropped Kevin on his head. Now I want the other two. Because I've got something for all three of you, man. I got something good for all three of you that you can't handle. Talk to my main man.
All right, Chris Adams, are you pleased with the events of recent weeks?
Yes, I'm very pleased, Mark. Of course I'm pleased. You know, I wanted a shot at the gold, and I've got it. You know, you people, you too, you people now think I'm a bad guy. I can't understand it. A few weeks ago, you were cheering for me. It's not me that's changed. I'm just the same person. I've always had the goal, to get the gold. You've changed. I'm the same. I wrestle the same. I do the same things. The only difference is, Mark, we have to approach things from a different angle. In other words, what we have to do is beat the Von Erichs, because I'll tell you what. Let me just get this in before you say something, Gary, because I am fed up of living in the shadow of the Von Erichs, and the only thing to do is to beat them.
All right, the words from Chris Adams, Gary Hart.
What are you in here hassling Chris Adams, upsetting
Not
him?
hassling anybody, I'm just asking questions.
What questions did you ask him? Because I was just coming in.
We're discussing the World Six-Man title situation and also the fact that he is now a top contender for the world title.
He is going to continue to be the top contender for the world's title, because I want to tell you something. I told this young man, I took time to set him down and instill into him that if you want to be something special, you can't allow other people's thoughts to switch you around. Now, like Iceman Parsons, see, a man of your breeding is very easily led. It's been proven so for years. And that affected you in the beginning, that he was down on you, didn't it? How does it affect you today?
It doesn't even bother me. I don't even give it a second thought, to be honest. Let me tell you something, Iceman. Keep your comments and your lousy whatever it is to yourself, okay? I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. Just keep it to yourself.
Everyone has an opinion, you see, but our opinion is the right opinion. Six-man tag team titles. It's going to be owned by Jake Roberts, Gino Hernandez, and Chris Adams. And as far, and no disrespect to you or Gino either, when it comes to the #1 title in the world, in my opinion, Ricky Flair's NWA World's Heavyweight title. You also are going to have that someday.
That is the ultimate goal for me. That is what I want. Gary so far has shown me everything else. Everything I've got a chance to go for the six-man world championship. The next thing on the line is the world championship, and I'm going to go for it.
Chris Adams, I,
for one, am shocked that that Gary Hart thinks that the world heavyweight title is the #1 title in the entire world. I figured he want Chris Adams to go after the brass knuckles title or something.
Why are they going after the six-man titles? They know if they win them, the fucking NWA is just going to fuck them around and vacate them and keep vacating them until the Von Erichs win them and they have to leave the fucking territory.
You would think that, Jimmy Garvin during that year-long feud would have alerted Chris Adams the dangers of getting into a feud with the Von Erich.
I don't think that they were on very friendly terms.
That is true. So Jake Roberts, by the way, was not in a junkyard this week. In case you weren't sure. I want to point out, and this is what I thought was the most biased moment of the show. Jake asked drunk Mark Lawrence, is he friends with the Von Erich? And as CM Punk pointed out to that one announcer during the Brawl Out press conference, it's important that if you're a member of the media, you have to state if you're friends, with, people involved in what you're in the media with. It's only fair to do that. And DML is like, no comment. Like, how can we be sure that DML is an unbiased ring announcer?
I don't think that we're gonna take CM Punk's words right before Brawl Out all that seriously.
I don't know. They're still entertaining to listen to. Anyway, Chris Adams is very pleased with his actions the last few weeks. He is the same person he's always been. The only difference between then and now is that he has to approach this from a new angle. And he said that he's tired of being in the shadow of the Von Erichs, so you have to beat them. And I don't know. I know you thought, well, don't even wrestle them because it'll just be a whole big go-around over the fucking six-man tag titles. But to me, as the Freebirds have proven, even if you beat the Von Erichs half the time, the feud's just going to keep fucking going.
50% of the time, it works. None of the time.
Gary Hart has finally embraced the heel turn. Do you remember, when it happened, Gary wasn't really like, oh yeah, now we're heels. Gary was more like, oh man, what are you doing, Chris? And whatnot. But now he's gone full-fledged heel here. No shades of gray.
Gary was a heel the whole time. He's been manipulating this situation from day one. He got into that very gentlemanly Englishman's head and started filling it, and now he's got you all duped that he hasn't changed. But he's being a real dickhead, and that's a change because he was a gentleman before.
Now, of course, we knew that that this is what Gary Hart was going to do. We're not sure they're going to play it out at all, but it actually made me think about. Remember when Triple H turned heel on Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton cashed in Money in the Bank? For like 5 minutes, I thought, well, this could be an interesting angle because Randy Orton did not turn heel. Triple H turned heel, and Randy Orton took advantage of the situation, but that's Randy Orton's character, that he would do something like that. I'm like, man, they could really work this Shades of Grey thing with Orton not being a heel, but not really being a babyface either. He's just taking advantage of the situation he's in. And then the next day on Raw, he was just a heel.
Well, you can't do what you thought. That might have been fucking interesting.
I know, right? We needed to have that 3-month feud where Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan had like one, not even bad match, one mediocre match after another. It's because we had seen them have a great match when they did that no DQ match that time during the summer.
Yeah.
Anywho, Gary Hart once won Christopher Adams to win Ricky Flair's world title. Now, how do you think Gary Hart spells Ricky, as in Ricky Flair? Because Rick is spelled R-I-C, but Ricky by, the usual form of Ricky would be R-I-C-K-Y. But do you think Gary throws the K in there? Do you think he says it with two C's or even just one C?
I think he spells it R-I-C-K-I-E.
Ricky Flair. I just always looked at he always calls him Ricky Flair. Anytime he ever talks about Flair, he's Ricky Flair.
It's delightful.
Now, as we've noted, World Class does not believe in brevity, especially when it comes to their primary feuds. Now, I don't know if you've looked this up, but do you know when this feud ends with Chris Adams, Gino, and the Von Erichs?
The day before Chris and Gino split up.
Well, I don't know that much, but Christmas '85.
Okay, so pretty fucking close. Right?
Yeah. Pretty fucking close to Gino's death, too. So yes, just to put this into other terms, and this is kind of what made me appreciate how long that covers. The feud began a month before the day I was born, and it ends 2 months after my first birthday.
Well, we said we wanted a different feud.
We're gonna get it. I don't know how sick we're gonna be of it, but yeah. All right, so we then go to the ring. I thought for a minute I wrote our main event, but it's not the main event. It's Chris Adams, assisted by his advisor, Playboy Gary Hart, and his teammate from Louisiana, the pride of Monte County, Texas, Jake the Snake Roberts, versus Chief Jules Strongbow and George Weingeroff's Blind Penis. Quite possibly one of the longer intros we've had on the World Class show.
And the longest penis we've had on this show by far.
Yes. The faces, they were nice guys. They tried to follow the Code of Honor before the match, but the heels are apparently members of the Prophecy because they refuse to shake hands. Now, I've asked you this on Facebook, but hey, this isn't Facebook. This is the Something Else Podcast Network. The fucking ROH Code of Honor, especially in the early days, was that not the most overrated thing ever?
I don't know. It was something at the time. It was different. It was fine. It was a thing to do in the early years there.
I mean, it feels like the whole reason for it was so that Christopher Daniels would be the one true heel of the company. Because they talked about, oh, you have to follow the rules of honor or something bad will happen to you. And Christopher Daniels followed 0 of the rules of the Code of Honor. He had interference during some of his matches. He didn't shake hands. He didn't respect the referee, all that shit. And it's like, he never had any punishments. He was given title matches. He won the tag team titles, and it's like, but there's always this vague, oh, something bad will happen if you don't follow the Code of Honor. Well, fucking guy, ran the company for a year. I don't know what happened to the poor bastard.
He had a wonderful storied career and is much beloved in the business.
Yes. So while Mercer was slowly building up the Cotton Bowl during this match, which will be the scene of a tremendous event, whatever happened to the greatest event ever in San Antonio? They wouldn't shut up about the greatest event ever in San Antonio, and then I guess it happened.
They showed it on the Fort Worth TV.
There you go. Yeah, Fort Worth TV showing the San Antonio show. It makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Weingeroff moved out of the way of a move at one point, but I don't think it was on purpose. I just think he was blind. Mercer said the DDT was named after the band Poison. Actually, Mercer said it was named after the brand of poison, but I liked my idea better.
I also thought that he said the band Poison, because I actually wrote, "Do you think Bill Mercer has ever heard Poison?"
I was confident he didn't actually say that. So
Okay.
Weingeroff got the hot tag, and we were informed that he was a man with a mission, which explains why he was never the WWF Tag Team Champions, because he would have been men on a mission in that case. And then Jake Roberts showed that he was able to find a partner quicker than Killer Kyle was, because after losing earlier on this show with one partner, Jake Roberts won with his new partner, Chris Adams.
Well, Chris Adams is a superior partner, obviously.
Yes, he was. He's no Smoky Mountain Job Crew guy.
I gotta say, I think this was easily the best match that Jules Strongbow has been in on this show, and maybe ever.
My jaw has just dropped. All right. So remember like a few weeks ago when there was like some on-screen graphic that I didn't even notice until you pointed it out, and I went back like, oh yeah, they did say that, and nothing came of that. This week they had an on-screen graphic saying, up next, holding out for a hero, Kevin Von Erich. We're still holding out for him because Kevin still hasn't shown up.
Well, I'm sure if we keep holding.
Yes. Kerry Von Erich versus Handsome Max with General Skandar Akbar. Everyone's doing double duty on this show this week. I wrote, where the fuck is Kevin? Maybe Kevin's in Arizona again. But
probably.
Drunk Mark Lawrence was chased out of the ring by Max, and Drunk Mark Lawrence, being Drunk Mark Lawrence, still finished his ring introductions from the floor. And like his microphone wasn't even like piped fully into the TV broadcast, so you could just kind of hear him in the background on the PA.
Boyd Harris would have got the hell out of there.
Boyd Harris?
Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. And I you don't know how many times I have almost made that mistake, because this is so stupid. I knew a guy in grad school named Boyd Harris, and it was funny. I also knew a guy named Bill Boyd. And so whenever on my software, when I'm going to pull up the block where I say that the Mid-South announcers are Boyd Pierce and Bill Watts, I always just type Bill Boyd.
You know the funny thing, and you're going to get mad at me for making another Mike Adamle reference, but he actually said the reason why he slipped and called Jeff Hardy Jeff Harvey was because he had a friend named Jeff Harvey. And so like just, him not even thinking.
You know what? Honest mistake. Mistake.
Something else. The only podcast ever compared Trae to Mike Adamle.
And if you ever do it again, I'll stab you.
This is why I secretly canceled my trip for Y'all In. Not because I was afraid of whatever, not because I was tired of AEW and the Death Riders at the time, but because I was worried you were going to stab me.
You were worried that you were going to stab me for something that you hadn't done yet, and I had not yet threatened to stab you for.
Exactly. So our conversation about this match went longer than the match. Ack ran in for the DQ in less than 2 minutes. Mike ran in for the save. The match went like 90 seconds, but I was wishing Drunk Mark Lawrence would have done a time call, because I'm convinced he would have said something like 7 minutes and 8 seconds.
It went 91 seconds, if anybody's keeping score out there.
I knew we were in for an Iron Man match when, that tag match just kept going and kept going and kept going. I'm like, well, I guess it is Kerry and Max in the main event. I'm not expecting a 60-minute draw.
We had 4 minutes left when the main event started.
Yes, and we needed to have the outro of the show. So the outro of the show, they announced 2 matches for next week. And You knew it was going to be, next week's going to be a riveting show when the first match they announced for next week is an encore match.
Well, it's a pretty good encore.
It's going to be Kerry Von Erich and Ric Flair for the world title. I'll pay $100 that Kerry wins.
I don't know, man. I've seen him lose that match so many times that I think he's going to know how to prevent it this time.
By the way, we're also apparently going to get a real match next week. Kevin Von Erich will allegedly be here, teaming with Mike Von Erich to take on Gino Hernandez and Jake Roberts. Apparently, Jake did not realize that you can keep one partner.
Well, they're a 3-man team, so they're polyslammerous.
That's what's called a callback to some people. I like that. Like Gino is the rich, pompous guy living, the good life. Chris Adams is more of like a working man, and drinking his tea. And Jake Roberts lives in a junkyard.
And with a junkyard dog.
Yes.
His friend, a junkyard dog.
Yes. Which did not get run off by Butch Reed yet. That's why we had Mike Reed on this show, because we were worried that if Butch Reed was on it, they may have ran off Jake Roberts' dog.
I don't know. I think Butch Reed would like that dog.
I think he might have. Where was Mr. Beef this week? He wasn't on the show.
Well, he had knee surgery, right? So he might not be around for a minute.
That too. Let me see here. If there's anything important going on. Let's see. Nothing really. Today's the anniversary of Chris Bay, his in-ring injury that led to him being paralyzed.
Yeah, that sucks. It seems like he is. He's not paralyzed anymore, so that is an improvement.
No. He walked out at the Las Vegas show, and he walked out at Bound for Glory. I like to think I'm his inspiration, because he's now walked out at 2 shows that I was at.
Were you at the Vegas tapings and didn't tell me?
It wasn't the Vegas tapings. It was the Vegas Unbreakable show over WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, okay.
I guess it was technically a taping. They taped a live show.
But, best wishes to Chris Bay. He's a hell of a guy.
Yeah. Dave, by the way, is outing his subscribers who, one of his subscribers, and I guess this is what happens when you because why would you bother to tell Dave this if you didn't think he was going to use it? But one of the subscribers canceled DirecTV so he could subscribe to ESPN for UFC and WWE, and then DirecTV emailed him and offered him ESPN Unlimited for free to keep him as a subscriber. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, subscriber Mark Pink, which may allegedly be his real name.
Allegedly.
Yes. By the way, this year Amanda Huber's costume was Wheeler Yuta, and I legitimately didn't even recognize that's who she was trying to be.
It's funny because you sent me the photograph of the Tick and Wheeler Yuta, and I immediately identified who the Tick was. This is the first I had not realized that the Wheeler Yuta was Amanda Huber.
They were interviewing Julia Hart, who was acting the least like Julia Hart you've ever seen anyone dressed like Julia Hart as. She had a snake, though. She's apparently a pet snake, so I'm waiting for that snake to be part of. Yeah. She was a total sweetheart. Big Shotty did not make an appearance, although Brody did they were going through because a bunch of people dressed were in costume for the Zoom call, and someone was dressed like Christian Cage and had the TNT title, and Brody, I guess, was walking by, and somehow this led to him grabbing his dad's urn and bringing it onto the camera, and then nearly dropping it.
It's delightful.
Yes, hopefully he's less klutzy in the ring. Kid, by the way, he's been at a couple of the heels things. When we'd have the meetups, he'd be there sometimes. But it's like, he's a 12-year-old kid. But
is he 12? Yeah. I thought he was older than that now.
Maybe 13, but he's not that much older.
I was thinking he was like maybe 15, 16 by now.
I don't think he is.
Oh. You would know better than I would, I guess.
Brody, I know you're listening to this because why wouldn't you be? Let us know how old you are. Oh Lord. There's not a whole lot else to talk about. Raw's happening right now. Apparently, they're doing CM Punk versus Jey Uso for the world title at Saturday night's main event to make up for the Seth Franks and Rollins injury.
We broke that news last week on the show, didn't we?
Oh yeah, I forget. We do a lot of shows.
Boy, do we!
Yes. Apparently, elsewhere on the show is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title for like the 89th time. Tiffany Stratton versus the newly healed Jade Cargill for Tiffany Stratton's title, which, by the way, Jade Cargill turning heel on Tiffany Stratton is when I found out that Tiffany Stratton was a babyface. And Dirty Dom versus Penta versus Handsome Rusev in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship.
That's cool. That's cool. Is Dom still the Mega Campeon?
He's holding the belt in the graphic, so I believe so.
Cool.
And apparently it is this Saturday.
This Saturday.
I guess that makes sense. This Saturday is November 1st, but for some reason I thought November 1st was next week. Even though I know Friday's Halloween, I've somehow in my head pushed November 1st to next week. I get that. I get how stupid that sounds.
I'm glad you get it.
Yep. Ooh, apparently the Righteous are going to be at the next Big Beyond show in Cranston, Rhode Island on November 14th. However,
cool.
Is that the weekend of Full Gear? No. Oh, I may go see the Righteous on Friday, November 14th at Rhodes on the Pawtuxet in Cranston, Rhode Island.
I am a fan of those guys. It's like if the business had more viable promotions like it should, like they would be a top tag team in one.
By the way, they'll be taking on Love Doug and Brad Hollister.
I bet
both,
they'll win.
In case you don't know, both are tremendous pro wrestlers.
That's good. Glad to know.
Yeah. You're happy that I approve of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently Johnny Gargano dressed his family up like the Fantastic Four. And I'll be honest, I don't see Indy Hartwell in there. I don't see Austin Theory in there at all. So I don't know. I don't know why Johnny is pushing away half of his family.
Maybe the other children have been disowned.
What did Austin Theory and Indy Hartwell do to Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae?
They know what they did.
I did love Indy Hartwell.
That's good.
Did you see the thing with Asuka and Goldberg?
Is there something new with Asuka and Goldberg?
I mean, new that it happened again, but I think you and I may be the only two people that remembered that they had a thing before now. Because Goldberg, from all accounts, you always hear Goldberg is a nice guy. But man, oh man, for all the crap Bret Hart gets for taking his character seriously, Goldberg still takes that undefeated streak seriously. I think Goldberg is of the assumption that he really won all those matches. But he is quite upset that Power Trips booked Asuka to be undefeated for longer than Goldberg was, and called her some girl. And the reason why I brought this up was apparently WWE put an Asuka video package on Raw, really basically trolling Goldberg.
That's delightful. Yeah, because I saw the thing that resurfaced from like several years ago when whenever Asuka posted that I respect Goldberg and blah blah blah, and then Scott Hall commented, "You're much better than Goldberg."
I bet Goldberg loved that at the time too. Yes. But like, I'm sorry, Goldberg. Like, I loved you, the streak. Like, I know that I was not the only person that ran to the TV when Goldberg would come out for his 2-minute squash match. That shit was over, ladies and gentlemen. But dude, get the fuck over yourself. It's, like seriously. Tatanka had a longer undefeated streak than you, Goldberg. When Tatanka comes out here and starts whining about Asuka's streak, then we'll know that there's something going on here, people. But until then, that's my bar here. Once Tatanka gets involved, then we have an issue. And thankfully, Tony Hollema has died before we get Ludvig Borga needing to chime in too.
We don't just set the bar; we are the bar.
Are you Sheamus or Cesaro?
Either one. Can't go wrong. Man, fucking, like, when it comes to, like, one guy being in a bunch of great tag teams, Cesaro, fucking Claudio's been in a bunch of really good tag teams.
Yes, he has. Now, do you remember how they ended up as a tag team?
Yes, I do. They were feuding, and then they had a best of 7 series, and the last one ended in a draw, and then Mick Foley was the general manager, and he told him to be tag team partners, and then they ended the New Day's record-breaking tag title reign that they broke out of spite for Demolition.
Yes. I was going to bring that up here, because the New Day was going to take on the Bar at SummerSlam for the World Tag Team Championship of the World. And it's like all signs pointed to new champions. And then like a week or two before was when Demolition was part of that class action lawsuit against WWE that went nowhere because the lawyer was a dumbass. And then I'm like, I even on Facebook, I'm like, watch, out of spite, they're going to have the New Day beat the Demolition record. And sure enough, out of spite, they kept the record. They broke the record and then immediately lost the belts at the next show. Do you remember the finish of that match? Because that was a really creative finish. When the Bar
I remember it was, yeah, I can't explain it exactly, but I remember it was like they did a spot and fucking, I think Sheamus pinned one of the New Day with like a really low angle crossbody. I remember that.
Somehow I thought it was Cesaro that got not the hot
tag, it may
the
be
final tag. But anyway, like the part of that, because I don't even remember that part. I just remember because Sheamus was crawling for the tag. Cesaro had his arm stretched out. Sheamus dove for the tag, and what you didn't see was Cesaro pulled his hand back, so there was no real tag. But Sheamus probably then did get the pin with the crossbody because then Cesaro got in the ring and beat up the New Day the New Day went after him because they thought he was the legal man, but Sheamus was the legal man because there was never a tag, and that's how they won the belts.
Yeah, the Bar was a really good team. Obviously, fucking the Kings of Wrestling. Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, who I didn't come up with his name, somebody else did, and then I used it, and then nobody else used it again. The Uppercats.
I never heard that. I always call them the Brass Ring Club.
Yeah, that was. I think that's probably why the Uppercats didn't catch on, even though it's a superior name.
That is a superior name, but then you had to use it, and well, it was no longer cool anymore, I guess.
Yeah, I ruined it.
And now Claudio and Wheeler are a team, and
yeah,
all that fun stuff. Him and Shinsuke were a team for a while.
Yeah, they were
during the pandemic. Yeah,
yeah,
they were the World Tag Team Champions.
They were.
One of them, I don't remember which one.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't. We really went off on a couple tangents here to fill up time that no one needed all this extra time, but we're going to give it to you anyway. We are WWE from 2017. You didn't ask for all this extra content. We gave it to you whether or not you wanted it.
We are the AEW pay-per-view of podcasts. It is very high quality content, but there's a little too much of it sometimes.
Speaking of AEW pay-per-view content, have you made it to All Out yet?
Very nearly. Very nearly.
Have you made it to where they've announced the world title match for All Out?
Yes.
Okay. So I know it's not just, I guess, a coincidence more than anything else 2 years in a row, but I would like to see that become an actual official thing where every year at All Out, the TNT champion wrestles for the world title.
Huh.
Because last year it was Jack Perry.
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when they did the Death Rider angle.
It is. It is.
Yeah. I guess not that it really matters, and because I mean, if you know that's the world title match, you also know the FTR versus Edge and Christian are on that show. I guess it doesn't ultimately matter, but I wasn't happy that was the opener and not the main event. I think it's partially because I had convinced myself that is like the perfect tag team main event in Toronto. And then they didn't do it. That I was like, they didn't take my idea.
I'm sorry that they got it wrong by not doing what you fantasy booked.
Yep. So you've made it this far, so I'm fairly confident you know what Big Bill's match is on that pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So to just show you, there's way too much fucking wrestling. Even though, like, I don't watch nearly as much as everybody else does, there's way too much fucking wrestling right now. And so, like, last week, I was sitting here going, when the fuck is Big Bill going to wrestle Eddie Kingston? Like, when the hell? What the hell? And I looked it up, and it was at All Out. I'm like, I saw the match. And I'm still sitting here going, when the hell are they going to wrestle? Oh, Lord. Anywho, while I'm getting my head screwed on straight, we're going to call it a day, I think.
It's a day.
Yep. So that's going to do it for this week's show. It's 11:03 p.m. I managed to watch an entire basketball game while we were doing this show, so that really tells you everything you need to know. Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you again in a while. We'll see you in 7 days.
Bye.